Yo, and I'm to be true now. I am not alone.
You shall never be alone, my
I
friend.
shall never be alone, my friends.
Slyso, man. How's
Yeah,
it?
man. How you doing, my brother?
Scruff, as you can see. Exam stress. I have not been able to go to my barber in 3 weeks. So,
Yeah. I'm gonna take off this cap because I went to the barber after a month, I think. I just recently went. But I'm actually, Utot is probably wondering what on earth is going on. Remember, I said I have a surprise, right?
Yeah. I'm actually here for the surprise.
Okay. Here is the surprise. No, it's not that one. It's not that
I
one.
don't know how I feel about this surprise, but hey, Toto, welcome.
It's a surprise.
No, it's not that one. No, it's not that one.
I feel like we're being pranked here.
It's not that one. No, it's not.
No.
Woo! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! I can't wait.
I just had to make sure.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Moving up in the world, guys.
So that was the surprise. Ladies and gents,
oh, beautiful surprise.
Beautiful.
We welcome the surprise.
Right? Yeah. A lot has happened. Yeah, a lot has happened. I don't even know where to start.
A lot is happening.
A lot is happening, guys. A lot is happening. It's scary, actually,
Yeah.
It's so scary. Like, we wake up every day and you have to say that prayer, even no matter how down you feel, because you realize that you're one of a few people that have woken up and can still go on and give it another bash. It's been so scary. I don't even want to talk with what's happening right here at home, but if you look at what has been happening around the world, freak accidents, fires, plane crashes, it's just been crazy.
Good. I want to start before we land bills. I know that you've got a bit more information on that. What was going on in Dubai?
So Dubai, it's one of those skyscrapers, right? You know how Dubai, you know how the Emirates, they do it.
Yes,
the Arabs, the skyscrapers are really big. Everything is just massive and large and larger than life. So one of the skyscrapers, I think it's a 67-story marina skyscraper that caught fire.
Is it that one that goes like this?
Wow.
No, not the Burj Khalifa. No, not that one.
Not the Burj Khalifa. I was gonna be hurt because one of my friends to buy and brought me that thing, and I was like, could have just brought me money. Actually,
I know, right? It's bucket list.
Maybe he or she. Yeah,
it's bucket list goals, right? Dubai, seeing the Burj Khalifa, and to see that, and you link that to the plane crash and everything. I mean, I think holiday makers everywhere are just sitting back thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's almost like what do they call it? A reboot. But it's not coming in a pleasant manner. Even everything else that we carry and that we're also going to be talking about as well. So it's just crazy. So no one knows what happened.
No one knows what happened. It just says, all the reports have just been saying a fire broke out. But it's so scary, man. Imagine a fire breaks out in a 67-story building and you're somewhere in the 43rd floor.
but that is nothing else. I work 2 floors underground.
Ooh.
I,
Ooh.
I work 2 floors underground, and first time I went into like Auckland Park House Studios,
Mhm.
and first time you walk in there, you're like, whoa, you know,
Binge.
you're claustrophobic, like you're crazy, and you're thinking, "Gengogo, in if there's ever a disaster, you know what I mean? I'm sure
Mm.
I go 6th floor, ngataka wophuke mhlawumbe noba ngumlenze."
Blends. And
And
those buildings in Auckland Park are nice and new, hey?
hey,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah. Nice and new.
I
So
draw a salary from that building, so I will not defame it as if it's
I am saying they are nice and beautiful and new. Toto, did I say anything?
No, I think he's just feeling some type of way because that's where
wow.
the catching comes from.
Mm,
Wow, shame on you, Billy.
this is where the bacon comes from.
Queen, how has your week been? And then no, what's grabbing your mind?
You know what? It's been quite hectic on my work side of things, and I'm trying to find my balance between my private practice and my full time job, which is very demanding.
Hmm.
So quite a few meetings lined up. I can't even tell you that I'm coming to Joburg because it's a full pack.
We spoke about this.
We spoke
I
about
feel
this.
guilty when I come to Joburg because I just cannot seem to find a breather. So I'll be in Joburg
Mm.
um, on from
Hey,
Wednesday till Friday.
Mm. Okay. Good to know.
But it's
Good to
yeah, but
know.
it's like it's just my I was looking at my schedule and just the meetings. Yeah, it's hectic. But I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna let you guys know if I can still some time there. Sebenze
Sure.
or Tambo. Of course, the past weekend, something that is obviously close to my heart, Slyso and Billy, you guys know, we had a collaboration, a beautiful collaboration with one of the private schools at Dale College, St.
Hmm.
Andrews,
ooh, I
where
saw
we
those
were intersecting
videos.
sports and gender-based violence, and we had a march on Saturday. They had a derby. Idale was playing St. Andrews, and they took it upon themselves to say, we want to play for a cause, we want to play for a good cause, and they played,
Wow.
and took a
Wow.
stand against GBV.
Oh
And
yeah, man.
I was just very pleased and just moved by the fact that even the boys were just so committed,
The kind of man
to
we
the
want to
cause.
raise, eh? Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
So we had such a beautiful weekend. Yeah.
Crazy you should say that, Bills, because that's exactly what was going through my mind when I heard those boys, like they were
Yeah.
basically almost like making a pledge,
Yes.
and I was
Yeah.
like,
To
this
be
is what
better.
you need. Because
Yes.
when we people are going to scholars somewhat will see the boys schools and the girls schools.
Mm.
For me, as I
Mm.
Mm.
listened
Mm.
to it, it was like a message to a DSG or
Yeah.
whatever the female schools. And I'm
Yes.
like thinking to myself how even things like the social now is going to change, because obviously
Yes.
some are boys are strictly boys schools, and
Yeah.
some
Mm. Mm.
when they get together,
Yes.
it's usually chaos. It's
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
kids acting out of hand. When I saw
Yeah.
that, it moved me. That's what I wanted to say. So very
Yeah.
beautiful initiative, Toto. So
Yeah.
is
Amazing
it going
initiative.
around the country, or is just something
No,
that's
so this was actually just a deal that called upon us and said, look, we have this sporting activities, and instead of just having like games, let's do it for something purposeful and
Yeah.
meaningful. And so they then offered to do a match before the game started.
wow.
Yeah, they had a whole program for us, and then they moved into the sports side of things. So
Oh,
it was just a commitment from them. It was such a surprise, a beautiful surprise also from the
Amazing.
schools. It wasn't us who was coming to them; they came to us and said, "Let's work
Yeah.
together."
yeah.
So we're hoping that as Ms. Golonazo will see, the value and how important
Yeah.
it is, because GBV happens in schools a lot. We see
Yes.
I mean, the cases of rape amongst teachers and students. So, yeah, I think for me, I was just amazed by the fact that they saw the need, and you know how I talk about males and boys being at the forefront
Yes.
of GBV, and
Forefront,
that was
yes.
We were
just
just talking
a
about it the other
positive.
day,
Yeah, yeah. So it
right?
almost feels like they were listening, and they said, "Here we are."
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to be North Boys anymore. We're going to do
Yes.
the
Not
right thing.
anymore,
Love
bro.
it.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Well, getting into the to the serious side of the things of what's happening in the country.
Yeah.
By the way, to the viewers, another new thing that we have, like the way I've been so lost. I don't know the number off by heart. That I didn't even have time to put it on. Did I? No. Yeah, I did it on the thingy. But to the viewers, we actually have a WhatsApp line where you can actually, on topics that we talk about, if you have an opinion or a view, you can simply just send us a voice note, introducing yourself if you would like to, and then share your view on whatever we are talking about. That's how we are so determined to make sure that, we are inclusive, we are
Mhm.
innovative, and we actually value your opinion, because if you remember, we said we started this because we don't want to make it our own
Yeah.
conversations. We want to have these conversations with you. We are sharing opinions in some instances where we have expertise. We are sharing fact, but when it comes to opinions, please, by all means, make sure that you do write those messages, and we'll put them up on the thingy. And the number is 079 600 58 05. Right, that is the number. 079 600 58, and then a zero, and then a five. Right, I'm
Are you
just
auditioning for American visa?
that's exactly my thing. I'm like, that's
You want to go on the next flight out?
like, can you give me a number? Can you just count or something? Yeah, bro. Yeah, wait. 079, then a 600, put a five there, and then a eight, and then a zero, and then a five, and then you can send a
My God.
WhatsApp there,
It's
my
going to be
station.
stuck in my head, this number. Exactly the way you just said it.
But first
Yeah.
up, guys, it happened a while ago, and we were not around for
Yeah.
it much. The plane crash, the Indian plane crash.
Okay.
Yeah. And the sole survivor. Like, I don't, like, I have no idea.
Wow.
In this age of AI, there was some guy who had a video. I think it was the day after the crash, and he was saying that, the air conditioner doesn't work, this doesn't work, the entertainment doesn't work, saying that he had boarded that plane, I think about a month or something before, the very same plane. And there have been quite a lot of speculations in terms of what had gone wrong,
Mm.
where more than 260 people, yeah,
Died.
were
Yeah.
basically
Uh,
died. And that one guy, like, I don't know, man. Like, you want to see God. Like, if shit like that should happen to me, I want to see God.
Yeah.
You better be sparing me for something.
Soul survivor.
no,
Can you
but
believe it?
no, no, you don't want to see God. Trust me. Once you hear the payout, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I took it there. I'm an entrepreneur, by the way. So you literally don't want to die, bro. So the payout now for the deceased is between 2 and 4 million
Wow.
US dollars
Each.
Yo.
each. So there was a family of a doctor, two doctors,
You
and they were traveling with their kids. You're looking, I mean,
saw
it's
that
a
video.
family of four. So whoever's going to get. So think about before you say you want to meet your maker, eh?
And Yara, it was a mistake, eh?
You take it back. But you know what? It got me thinking, right?
Mm.
This was headed to London, so a lot of, business travel and a lot of, high net worth individuals from the reports as well.
Mm, mm.
And, if they have to pay about, let's say, worst case scenario, 4 million, 2 million, right? Which is the least amount of money that they have to pay. How much do airlines have to insure an
Yo,
aircraft?
yo.
How much, to insure
Yo,
the amount of people in an aircraft? We're talking about
yes.
260 people,
That
and
must
you
be
each
crazy.
have to
Yo,
pop up. It's a crazy amount of money, but it's obviously not about the money. It
yeah.
is about, the loss of life.
Loss of
It,
lives,
it
yeah.
is about the impact on the tourism industry. I mean, if you look at these
Mm,
isolated incidents, a building catching fire in Dubai, a plane crashing in India just a minute
India.
after
Yeah.
takeoff, what
Yeah.
it does to you as somebody who wants to go on holiday, who was thinking of going on holiday.
Yeah.
So that just the impact is just devastating, and it's a ripple effect. Just not does not end at just the loss of life, but economically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is crazy. I like your take, because at the end of the day, when we bought those planes, we have no idea. Like we don't know,
Mm,
you know.
mm, mm.
Um, it's very interesting, and I think, I mean, it's definitely gonna hit things like tourism. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
why
yeah.
why am I gonna want to board Air India again? You
Yeah.
know,
Sure, sure.
yeah.
And it's this is. I mean, Boeing has had a couple of the aircrafts going down, but this is the first time that they've had the 787 Dreamliner go down. And you think about the reputational
Oh,
damage for them in the
Mm,
long
mm,
term
yeah.
as well, because it's not like you've got OEMs in the spacecraft industry. You don't have a million of them competing. It's not like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
car manufacturers. So it's, yeah, it really is devastating. And we focus on the one thing and we forget about everything else. But, the ripple effect is just, yeah,
Yeah. Too
it's,
much.
it's carnage. Yeah.
You
that's
see things like this, they always make me paranoid every time when I'm boarding a plane. I always have that thought. I'm just like, I'll never make it. You see
Listen,
this
one
kind of
person
stories. I
lived.
don't
I
want to
will
hear
live.
this, guys.
I'm the one who's going to live and tell the story. I
I
promise you.
swear to you, every single time when I'm boarding, I just do a little prayer because I'm just like, God, please, man,
guys.
it's
You know I
not
love
the
you, right?
day. Do not do this to
Guys,
me.
I love you, right?
We love you too.
I'm gonna move the fuck along, because I'm
Let's
boarding a
move on.
plane.
What's
I'm
happening?
boarding, I'm boarding a
In
plane
the morning.
tomorrow. I
Yeah.
don't want to be.
What you got for us?
It's like, writing. Uyacimela
But
okanye uyathini?
but I
Yeah.
think let me scare you one more time. Okay, go
Sure.
ahead. Let
No,
me
no, no,
I'm
go.
no,
gonna
no,
be
no,
boarding
dude.
soon.
No,
Please
it's
let's
fine. Like,
move. Let's move on
that's
from
what
this. I need to.
I
I need to. I
thrive
need to get
on
over
challenges,
this.
baby. I thrive on challenges. I want things like, when a person says you can't do it, you're not gonna board that plane, then you won't see me. It's like, ngicela ngibhi.
But
Yeah, you were gonna say something, Bills.
no, I'm just saying. I mean, I think about a couple of days ago, 3 days ago. You guys will probably have heard about it. The hot air balloon crash
Yes,
in Brazil,
in
right?
Brazil.
It's a bucket list item, guys. It's a bucket list. So a plane has crashed that will take you to Brazil to go on a hot air balloon, which has also crashed. And, and one of the, yeah, it's insane. This is not a nice, I mean, it's not a nice period for the tourism industry at all. 8 people died out of 21. The video looked horrific. I expected, I thought everyone that was on that thing had died. That's how bad
Mm.
it was. That's how bad it was. So it's
Yo,
been a horrible time for tourism over the past 2-3 weeks. Yeah,
when I was
over two
when I was
weeks.
growing up, like, it was one of those things. I was like, okay, it's on my bucket list, but I just got to a point where I was like, oh no, I did skydiving. So after doing skydiving, I was like, why am I
You're
doing
good.
a slow ass thing? Yeah. Guys, thinking of Bill, the way you explain it, you're going to Brazil. There's a plane crash getting you there. Um,
Mm.
get there, you're supposed to be on a honeymoon or whatever you travel for. You have risk of the building, the hotel that you're gonna
The
be booking
hotel might
burn,
catch fire, right?
might catch fire. If you survive that, you're gonna go on your
So
day's excursion, and guess what? The balloon might
you
get
might catch fire in
yes,
the sky
and now,
again,
and now
Guys
again.
cannot catch a break.
the next one,
Just cannot.
the next one, try this.
Ooh,
Your ticket price, let's say you survive all of that, your ticket price coming
ooh.
back is going to be far more expensive because this right here is talking to the world just begging, being on its knees, which I think is our next item up. The war between that started off between Israel and Iran. And then Donald Trump says, no, we are in
I want
conversation.
in. I want in. That's what he said.
We are in conversation with Iran. We are on the verge. And then the next thing he wakes up and is like, yeah, we know where you are, nigga. We're coming for you.
Damn.
That's just
And,
crazy.
and this is a day after India said, I think they want him, they want to put him up for a Nobel Peace
A
Prize.
Nobel Peace Prize. But this is what's crazy, Bills, right? Given what you were saying, I was driving back. Big up to Ashraf. He had oh my gosh, ngubani nguthandeka, oh my gosh, I'm gonna think of the guest that he had talking
Uh-huh.
about this whole thing. Um, yes, the United States. And it's like, we all out here, we are saying that Donald Trump is trash, blah, 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 and all of that stuff. But do you guys realize that oh, Donald Trump has a fallout with UBB? And it's been for quite some time, in so much that he's kept him out of negotiations when he was talking to Ukraine. Especially now, let's look at the region when he was speaking to all the other countries, in the east, and his whole thing. This analyst says that BB just wants wars. He's been for the longest time ever. We've seen the video circulating. Iran is on the verge of a nuclear weapon. And then a couple of years, they are 6 weeks away from it and all of that stuff. So, what he's saying is that Donald Trump wanted to just end this. Yes, he fooled and lied to everybody. He said, if I go because Israel is attacking Iran because they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So if I, Donald Trump, fly over Iran, I've got bases all over. I think about 40,000 troops in that region. And he says, if I fly over and drop bombs on this so-called nuke sites, what is BB going to do after that? He has nothing to do or say but to stop the war with Iran.
Yeah.
Mm,
And it's like, did
mm.
we ever look at it that way? That in his twisted mind, and now I'm reminded by what you're saying that, like, he was being nominated for a Nobel Prize. So America might not, after this strike, it might not even go to war at all because he's gonna say, "Bibi, you need to clean up your stuff. I've bombed the nuclear sites for you. So what is your gripe now?"
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's another way of looking at it. Actually, I
yeah,
never
it was a
looked at
very
it that way.
blew my mind.
Yeah, it really it is mind blowing to look at it that way. Whether he, the man from that side, does look at it that way, or he was just caught up in a moment of insanity as always. But But for me, it's the ripple effect because now we are nearly on the verge of a World War III,
Yeah.
right? Where we have Iran threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz, right?
Mm.
Now, just to break it down for our viewers, the Strait of Hormuz it connects the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, and it is a narrow piece of water that is between Oman, the UAE, and Iran, right? Now,
Yeah.
Iran transports about 20%. Listen to this, guys. This is one-fifth of the global oil requirement goes through.
I was
Sure.
like,
And,
money
you
is
know,
there.
countries like China, so how they make money, right?
Yeah.
They collect maritime fees, right, for
Mm,
passing,
Mm.
mm,
right? And now, if you close off that gulf, guess who are the biggest? Um,
Losers over then.
yeah. You're right. For lack of a better word, my English escapes me because I'm very passionate at this point. Right. The Japanese, the Chinese, because China gets most of it's about 80% of their oil from there. And
Oh.
look at the ripple effect if you start punishing those economies. It's a global. It's going to affect everyone, but the least affected will be the USA,
Imagine, where's my sheen?
and everyone else gets
Temu. I just
affected.
ordered the vacuum cleaner from Temu. It's not arriving. It's
You
bloody
know,
baby in
but
Israel.
but also one could argue another thing to say that this is economic suicide for Iran
yeah.
to do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But what message does it send if they close off the Strait of Hormuz in the context of what is being done by the US currently?
That's such a crazy and a very complex one for me,
Mm, mm,
Bills, because they need to trade off their oil. They need to make money, and there've been
yeah.
talks of regime change in Iran. So obviously there's something that they're feeling somewhere from being closed off from the rest of the world, and they obviously need the change. And for this to happen, like, I seriously don't know what the Benjamin Bean criminal Netanyahu's end game was, apart from him avoiding the copious amounts of charges that are laid against him.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
people just need to search on YouTube to find a documentary that speaks about, look, where the prime minister was being interrogated by police,
mm,
Israeli police, on charges of crime. There was a time that even Israelites, what do they call them, Israelites? Yeah. um, they marched over to his house. So the one place that has been begging to an extent for change in Israel, it has been Israel, because the leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu, as far as I'm concerned, is self-serving. you know
mm,
and that's what they
mm,
picked up. And on the flip side, I've also, like, just conspiracy theorist nonsense. They receive about 3 billion from the United States, right, for their military every year. This was signed off by Barack Obama. And I looked at how much the military industrial complex is worth. It's 360 or 380 billion.
yeah.
Sure.
So
Sure.
basically, you have old generals, because apparently this is how it works. Because you've been high up in buying, what you call it, arms, or selling arms. When you
Yeah.
Mhm,
retire, you go open up your own SMME, smallanyana company, and you trade with a particular country. All right,
Yeah.
these secret deals. So the generals are the ones who own these companies that manufacture, or they are made part of because of their experience. So there's an entire, for generations, as far as I'm concerned, since the Second World War, right? When they won, and America was called the superpower and all of that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people who have been doing this since World War II and passing it on. So it makes sense
Mm.
for them for there to be anarchy in the world,
Yeah.
just to keep them afloat. At
Yeah.
the expense of what? Of people that want to live in Gaza
Yeah.
and self-determine, and just because people, now you bring religion into all of this thing. Ah, guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, many a war have been fought in
yeah.
the
But
name of religion.
the latest I picked up was Israel said to convey message to Iran, it is seeking end war within days.
Okay.
So it's Israel now, which means like now that analysis from
That's what she said
excuse me, the analyst, he was
from
saying that,
Asher.
yeah. So basically, why are you still going to be sending nukes or attacking Iran?
Mm.
And it would be brilliant, like guys, like if that were to be the case, because most of us are speculating and we're not scholars in history and the wars and
Mm.
all that stuff. But it would be flipping brilliant of Donald Trump to have pulled that off if
Yeah.
it were. Yeah. So those are the interesting ones that we've picked up around. Um, yeah. Oh, Qatar has shut off airspace as well. Um, so which means that on the flip side, there is still a possibility of World War III, where the UN sitting that was held, I think last night, according to our time, came out scathing. It was
Yeah.
Russia saying that they are on Iran's side, and they've been asking to be brought into the table to work out a deal. It's been very interesting. So there's one side that says that we are going into World War III, and there's one side that says that, which is a theory really, from the
Yeah.
analyst, that
Yeah.
but were it to be true, you know Donald
Yeah.
Trump will definitely make America great again, because he will keep his promise of not sending the young American sons and daughters to go die in a war that they have nothing to do with.
Yeah, it's so sad. On that note, Slice, and I think this links into my session,
Woo.
business rep, later on.
Yeah.
Um, I think the history. I mean, there's evolution when it comes to warfare.
Mm.
Do we still have space for combat and all of this, and military warfare? Do we have space for that? I think warfare has evolved. We've had economic warfare over time. We've seen, and we may not have termed it that, but we've seen it
Mm,
over time. Most recently, we've seen cyber warfare coming.
mm,
Yeah.
And all indication is that the nature of warfare is towards that direction. It is going to be of a cyber nature or digital
mm,
Yeah.
nature, if you
mm,
please.
Yeah.
And I find it, and I listen a lot to Americans and their views when it comes to exactly what you're saying. There's 40,000 troops in the Middle East and all of that. How they call it senseless investment of blood. You know,
dang.
I, it is mind blowing. Evolution and time has given us new weapons.
Yeah.
Mm.
Can we save the human species, please, Mr. Trump?
Yeah.
Dude, we really like, for me, I'm a very simple person. I was asking the very same question. Why is it that in uh, 2025, this century, we still have people who cannot sit down and
Mm.
Resolve issues.
resolve their issues? Guys,
Yeah.
it's talking. It's how smart you are. It's how good you are in playing chess. There's nothing far more beautiful than a game of minds when it comes to economic dominance.
Yeah.
Where we see places like China saying that we are going to dominate. Flip. Nobody thought
Yeah.
the automobile industry.
Yeah.
We're going to think of any stupid little thing that we can sell with the emergence of the internet and
Yeah.
e-commerce
Yeah.
and
Mm.
websites. What are we going to do with it? We are still sitting in South Africa, like pondering, okay, which site do we go? Which courses do we put up for people to like think?
Mm.
China outsmarted everybody when it comes to that. And that's
Yeah.
why people are bleeding. Why must you go on war? That's because
Yeah.
Exactly.
for me, violence are for a person or who's not thinking.
Thinking. Thinking. Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
I drive a Chinese vehicle, right? Hands up if you drive a Chinese
Yeah,
vehicle or
we got
no.
one in the cribs as well, yo.
Oh, oh, you know someone.
We
So
love
you
them.
know what?
For Mangchung.
On, on, on this exact topic, right? I was actually thinking, thinking about the future of warfare.
Yeah.
And God forbid, I was actually thinking, if China were to, be discontent in any way with South Africa. Now, looking at the fact that every third car on the road is a Chinese make, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And these cars, I mean, they're computerized. I mean, you can't run away from that. They connect to the internet. They are drivable computers.
Bro.
And they just turn off the button like this. They're like, switch off South Africa. And they
Right? Because that's basically what will happen. We scared of we
Yeah.
scared of Elon
can you
Musk.
imagine? Can you imagine?
All the Chinese.
Yeah.
Hi guys, people are going to say we are perpetuating propaganda. It's just my thoughts.
But
Okay. Let's
that's
move
what we
on.
say.
What's
Yeah.
happening in the country?
Uh, Look, in our country, I think we're gonna have to, because there's Floyd has flopped out of MK and going to do his own thing. But I think we need to just give it a break and actually look at the Momo. I remember when we were having our conversations the other Sunday, and
Yeah.
we were talking about finances and
Yeah.
so it's gonna be very interesting to find out what we have on the Momo today. Is that what we're doing? Shall we?
Oh, let's go. Let's go to the moment. Let's go to the moment.
All right.
Let's do that.
Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on yourself. It can also be a developmental crisis issue. Keep pushing and stay the course. Oh, hi, everybody. It's the Momo session here with Talks to the Psychologist. Guys, it still is Youth Month, and Andiko Shogeba also no youth and Dala or what's happening. But in the spirit of youth, I wanted to focus a lot more on men, because it is also June is actually Men's Mental Health Month, if you didn't know, dedicated specifically to male and their mental health. And I thought, let me tie in our conversation. We're talking about money and just talking about, mistakes that we often make as young people when it comes to money. But I wanted to actually bring a spin into the conversation and talk about what are things that actually impact men's mental health, and then bring that aspect of finances into it, because it also, is one of the stressors for a lot of males, right? But when we talk about men's mental health, Billy, we cannot run away from societal expectations, right? Patriarchy, that shapes the way men think about themselves and their own mental health, we cannot run away from the fact that there are these traditional norms that actually put men in a certain box, and sometimes actually very stifling for men because there's no flexibility to be any other way than this masculine being, which can be suffocating for a lot of men. And a lot of men will not come forward and acknowledge that, hey, patriarchy is also actually just bad for men as it is for other gender, right?
Interesting.
So the pressure that is the traditional expectations that expect men to be, to kind of be stoic, to be strong, right? Always you got to know what to do. We know the sayings, bana indoda ayikali, and you have to push on. The question then is, if indoda ayikali, especially in times of trauma and tragedy, what happens to those tears? What happens to those yapes and yembes? Because you do feel the pain. You are human after all, right? If also a society is going to say men should be self-reliant, to what end? Who do they go and cry to? Who do they ask for help to, right? To make sure that their mental health is protected, right? And remembering that we have the health and the mental illness, and we see a lot of males moving from the health side to the illness side because of these pressures, because of these expectations. So even in gender-based violence, at some point we have to tie into mental health. We can't see it separate from mental health, because a lot of men, Slyso, they become violent because of the stresses they feel. If Sizabanez indoda must, for example, what if he can't must? What
Oh.
happens then? What happens to his mental capacity when he can't provide financially, and the society says he must provide, right? What happens to his mental health? So those are the questions that I want us to think about. The stigma also, the stigma around men seeking help is another barrier to men maintaining a good mental health, because a lot of men do not actually acknowledge to themselves that they're struggling, and therefore do not go and ask for help, because they don't want to be seen as weak, right? And then again, society plays a role, because men amongst each other also will ridicule each other when another one is being vulnerable and say, hey, I'm not coping, So there aren't many spaces where men can be vulnerable and be honest about their struggles, because again of the patriarchal nature that is our society, right? That's what I mean when I say that patriarchy is also problematic for men themselves.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So when we're talking about mental health, then it makes sense why we will have such a high violence in our country, because actually amadoda are under a lot of pressure mentally. That's a reality that we have to accept. That's why we also see the gender-based violence, and I always tie it back to the mental health of men. A lot of men are not okay, are not coping, and therefore violence, that is aggression, is the way they express their frustration. Is it right? No, it's not right, and it's not an excuse that we're making, but it's the reality that not every man that is violent is because as the monsters, they don't have empathy, but it's because sometimes they are struggling, and so because they've never been given space to speak and open up, so what they do is they use other means to express, which sometimes is the inappropriate violence that we see
Yeah.
in society, right? And then, of course, we can't run away from the fact that substance abuse is another big problem in our country. So I was talking, I think one of my videos, TikTok, talking about how also we've normalized this alcohol drinking,
Yeah.
and it's become a problem that people don't even want to acknowledge. That actually alcohol abuse is a big problem, and it's linked again to violence. If you look at
Yeah.
the cases of gender-based violence, also most of the time there's alcohol involved. If you look at the cases of violence itself in general, most of the time there's alcohol involved.
Yeah.
Domestic violence at home, there's alcohol involved.
Alcohol.
So we have a problem of substance abuse, and I think we need to really look at, as communities and families, how we interact with alcohol and the relationship we have with alcohol, because it's
Yeah.
really I think it's destroying our black community, to be specific. And I'm saying black community because that's what we are, that's who we are. And then, of course, we when we talk about violence, we cannot close the door, and in the fact that men also experience violence. Men
Yeah.
also, they are victims and the survivors of violence. And when I say again that men are, and patriarchy is actually a threat to men themselves as well, because if you look honestly and closely to violence, a lot of men are scared of each other. A lot of men are scared of other men
Mm.
because violence is perpetrated by men most of the time. So there's a lot of men who have experienced trauma, and of course their mental health is impacted. So all these things, they intersect and they come in and give us a picture of the mental state of men. And so then we can start to make sense of the issues that we have, the intimate partner violence that we have, the GBV that we have in our country, the domestic violence that we have. All of these things, sorry, are linked to the men's mental health. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think it's time that we demystify the issue around mental health, and men need to understand that they are human first before they are men. Before you focus on your gender, you
Mm.
are a human being with feelings. You have to acknowledge that as a person you are going to experience some stressors in your life, and you need to find ways to regulate your emotions. Find ways, healthy ways to cope with the stressors. But also, what is important is that we need to help men to transition from the toxic masculine way of being to a positive
Yes.
masculine, because I think a lot of men are struggling. There are men that want to, but they don't know how, because this has been ingrained in them to be a toxic man. We need men to be intentional about becoming a model of positive masculinity in their homes, in their communities. And so there must be an intentional commitment for men to start understanding that they need to actually take active steps to protect their mental health, to make sure that they are in good mental state, to deal with their problems, and to not kind of project the responsibility onto other people. And if we're not acknowledging that aspect, that men's mental health is a very important aspect. If we want a healthy society, and if we want harmony in our societies and communities and our homes, we need men to really focus on their mental health, and that is speak up, and get help.
Mm.
And that's the story that I'm bringing today.
That's her story, and she's sticking to it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the queen.
That's the
Wow. Um, yeah, it's always heavy, but
It is.
when you have situations like this, that's why, like, I always make sure that, I'm sure you saw me fiddling, because I
yeah.
like writing, because as much as what I'm getting from Utoto is heavy, I'm like, what is the opposite of that? I think I remember I had a conversation with somebody, and I don't remember what we were talking about, but like my whole thing was like, I think it was one of these Instagram or videos that I come across, and this lady's
Yeah.
on, like, what is the opposite of how you are feeling, right? You are consumed about you are consumed by this negativity, or this negative space that you find yourself in. If you, in a split second, you know
Yeah. Yeah.
say that I'm not going to allow rage, I'm not going to allow alcohol, I am not going to allow the trauma. I
Yeah.
understand that these are things that you actually need to acknowledge, because
Yeah.
I think the saying goes, you cannot heal what you don't reveal.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
need to have that and say that I suffered trauma when I was young. It made it possible for me to, let's
To
take
love, to be vulnerable, to
vulnerable. How can I, all of these things, but you need to live in the moment. I will encourage everybody. I was like, every person that I meet at our age, our conversations are around your emotional well-being, how well you are coping. There is a 37-page PDF by Deepak Chopra, the 7 laws of spiritual success, where it talks about the different laws, law of attraction, law of, all of these things. It's a 7 pager. You will get to understand the importance of being present in each and every moment. Because I'd like to believe that if you inflict violence on somebody else, you do that, like you almost blurred for blackout for that moment. So many people come back as like, yeah, did I do it? Yes, you did. And it's because you're not living in the moment. You're not experiencing people for who they are, you know? So yeah, it's just my bit about it. In all these facts that Ulandiga Utoto is bringing us, a part Utoto is bringing us, like the patriarchy, culture, trauma, low self-esteem obviously comes from one of those. So all of these things need you to sit down and say, actually, I don't like the way I'm doing things. Yeah, that's my 2 cents worth. Like it's cray. That's cray. The queen is dead. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing,
yeah.
the queen?
And when we were talking about, when we are having our conversation about money, I thought to myself, well, money is just, stress that is related to money is just it's just a symptom, of a lot of other things that people experience, and in particular
Mm,
men. Money is a big issue for men, and men don't want to talk about how it impacts their psyche, the relationship they have. Never
Yeah.
mind not
oh,
having money.
I,
It's a
I,
big problem. It's one of the things that also make men to be violent, like, so, the relationship
yeah.
they have with money.
mm.
With
Yeah.
money. And
Nayo
you
the
know
man.
what the
Nayo.
and the worst thing is that men have been conditioned to link their value to money.
To money. Oh yeah.
100%. 100%.
It's part of that patriarchy as well, and it's a nice thing that you say, Toto, that it's a double-edged sword, right? It
Mm,
hurts the women as much as it hurts the men.
Yes.
It could be a construct that came by men, but it hurts them as well
mm.
because our value as men has always been linked to how and what we can provide.
Provide.
You know, ubuhle bendoda zinkomo zayo. I'll park it there.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll pack it there. But thank you so much. That was the motivational moment with Toto. And obviously,
Beautiful
guys,
one.
hey, here. If you want to link up, because over and above her being like, we hustlers, man, she has her own private practice, as
I'm
you
a
heard.
real psychologist. I must put it out
Oh,
there
she
because,
is a
for some
qualified one,
reason,
yeah.
She's not a hustler. She's a real psychologist.
She
Okay.
is a
I'm a
real
real
psychologist with, yeah, with a private practice. There you can get it on senganatobeka@gmail.com and 0734213360.
Yep.
So yeah, it's important to actually go talk. I cannot stress this enough. Even from the first season, this is one of the things that I keep talking about.
Yeah.
Is that, like, if we are not, because for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, these ones, they get here on this podcast and they talk nonsense because they
Yes.
don't. But dude, I've been through trauma.
Mm,
I've
mm,
been through fucking trauma. I was losing myself, like I was, lost everything I had. But when that moment, you know, that clicked, or snapped, I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this space that I'm in, this downward spiral. Guess what I did at the time? I always say I was not working. I was just like doing minimum jobs in Durban at the time, like voiceovers and stuff. I actually was like, no, I'm getting out of this thing. Let me go out of the money that I make. Let me take 600 bucks at that time for me to go see somebody that I can talk to.
Talk
So,
to.
and I remember this lady, and so I'm like, and then she listens. It's like, are those all your problems? And I'm just like, yes. And she was like, um, go get a job. You're gonna do this entrepreneurship shit. You're gonna do this because like my whole thing is like, when your world comes down crashing, you have all
Yeah.
of these things that you were able to do when you could afford to,
Yeah.
but now you are not thinking about yourself, you're still thinking externally about those things that you used to do. And that lady was like, no, start by making sure that you get paid.
Mm.
How are you going to do all of this? Like, how are you
Yeah.
going to grow your business on the side as an entrepreneur without, making sure that like you have
The
steady,
basics. The
the
basics
base.
are covered.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
So without wasting time, so I'd like to say to people, it is worth it to go sit with somebody that looks at your issues, your problems,
Yeah.
your challenges, your traumas from a different perspective, and to actually provide you with tools to get
Yeah.
yourself out of there. Look at me now, nigga. Shit.
Not so bad.
Oh man, is this where we move on and go check out what's going on with yeah,
Is
bills.
the bills.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do this.
Let's pay the bill. My people, my people, my people, the backbone of the South African economy. Talking to you, hustlers, banibiza ini, banibiza hustlers, banibiza mazamazama, but you and I, you know who you are. You are the backbone of this economy. Basis, I do not want to waste time, Today we referred to the evolution of warfare, right? Talking about the situation in the Middle East, the interventions from the US. And it made me to think about the warfare that you and I face as entrepreneurs. And it's a different kind of warfare, but it is warfare anyway. And it's called a fight for market share. That's the biggest thing that any business looks into. You may not be conscious of it when you do it. If you want to go taste amagwinya, kamambinga, two houses down, because you want yours to be better, you are fighting for share. If you have to, do whatever to make your business better at some point, you're fighting for share. And that is the nature of warfare, right? Within our space. Now, I read up on the issue or the meta issue, and you might be aware of it, where Mark Zuckerberg is offering executives from OpenAI an upward of about 100 million. This is allegedly, right? It's a lot of reports out there, but they have not released a statement to counter these claims, right? So Open AI CEO spoke about it and say Mark has been trying to get my people. He's been offering them an upward of 100 million as a sign-on bonus over and above an eight-figure salary that is offering these guys.
Oh,
And you ask yourself, what is this? Because I mean, it obviously sounds legally dubious. I mean, I'm sure those guys have got restraint of trade clauses in their contracts and all of that. But why is it doing this? It goes back to the history, I mean, the warfare within the space, which is the fight for market share. That's what he's doing. He is fighting for market share because he knows that AI is the future. And what OpenAI is doing is what he is struggling to do. He's trying to get these people for warfare, right, for us. But the tools for warfare, because the future is different, right? The future of warfare for businesses is different and it requires different tools. For instance, the one tool that we all need to embrace, and I think it's been said over and over, but I'm going to say it again, is technology. Whether you're making amagwinya or you're making airplanes, technology has to be something that you start embracing. It's something that you need to start looking into it and getting into now. Learning a new skill. Think of what your business will look like in the future when everything that we talk about now that seems to be, not so trained. It's not something that, AI, everyone's talking about AI, but you don't really grasp what it is. Think about how your business is going to survive once AI becomes a reality, right? I'm just making an example. There's a lot of emerging technologies, but we need to improve ourselves, bestie. This is There's no other tools that you're going to have in the future to fight for market share and to fight for our businesses except for the use of technologies. So our strategies need to reflect what the future is going to look like. Whatever we invest in our businesses now needs to prepare us for that reality. So there's three tools that I want you to consider today when you're thinking about the future of business. That is inevitable. The future of business is inevitable, but I want you to think about the future of your business, right? When you think about your strategies, when you formulate strategies, they need to reflect what the future of business is going to look like. Whether, as I said, it could be, you could think that your business doesn't, my business is an off grid type of business. It does not need technology. You're wrong. You're going to be outsmarted, you're going to be outcompeted. You need to start focusing on what technology needs to bring. So when you strategize, think technology. Think about resources. When you look at things, if you need to buy a new pen, you need to buy a new spoon, do you need a new resource? Do you need someone who understands technology better? That's probably another resource that you need to think about, right? Whenever you're doing your resource planning, think about technology. Think about what is going to add to your business. And lastly, as entrepreneurs, you're blessed with self efficacy, being able to look into yourself and regulate yourself. Think about how you're thinking and making these decisions into your business model, into your business strategies. And be honest with yourself in terms of what you are able to do and what you can handle going forward so that you're better prepared for it. That's it for me. Thank you so much. Guys?
Oh.
Yeah.
Opini always just leaves us with like so many nuggets to think about.
Nah,
With
nah.
Yeah.
everything, it's like you just want to become a better business person because of the insights that he brings. I mean, I'm just thinking about what you just said. Whether you like it or not, technology is here. It is the future.
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
either going to adjust, do what you need to do, upskill yourself,
Or
get
fold. That's
comfortable,
it.
or you are going to be left out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's, I think a lot of people are always thinking it's either or. There is no either or. You have to embrace
Mm,
technology if you want to be in the game and be successful in whatever you do. So I like that.
And Toto,
Yeah.
we don't understand when we think of technology, we only think of things like cloud computing, Internet of
Yeah.
Things, all these
Yeah.
augmented reality, all these
Cyber
fancy
security.
terms.
That's
mm,
the thing.
Yeah, but we have no idea how much people are making from just data, just
Yes.
collection of data, information that you collect on a daily basis, information that you have access to on a daily basis, how much it is worth if you put yourself, there's a lot. I mean, we live in the age of, it's called an age of information for a reason, because
Yeah.
Yeah,
information is key. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Bills. I've always said this, and speaking to people, is that we used to live in a space where we used to go to libraries. Toto will remember this. Where we used to go to libraries for information. You
Come on,
know,
I know libraries as well.
doesn't matter what it. No, 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 no. The particular time that would we be asking
Okay.
you
Oh.
about? Wow, would we be asking you about libraries? You know, but the fact that like you used to travel to get information, it doesn't matter what it is.
Mm,
A tiny little
mm,
ailment or like something. What you need to put on. And all of this stuff, right? Or if you are looking for solutions for your business, you're going to the library, a particular section, blah blah blah, and all of that. And now with the growth of or the introduction of the internet as well, is that we are now living in a space where people are almost what's the word? Don't It's not exhausted. Where there is so much information that it causes you
Yeah.
anxiety. You
oh
know,
yes,
something
yes.
as simple as scrolling your phone. You like it's endless. It's designed
Yeah.
that way for you to just keep like thinking. When you think, oh, it's time for me to sleep, there's still more. Now that level of information, take Facebook and put it aside, and think if you were to go to a website that actually has books
Mm,
on business, you have endless
Yeah.
information. What
Yeah.
those people did, they make money out of that. The people who own
yeah.
those websites,
Yeah.
because they do what I think every business should be doing, scaling, some call it, but most importantly, curating information and making sure that you have your target audience in mind. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to 18 to 35-year-old women. What are they into? You know,
Mm,
bazawufuna uthetha ngonondroko. No, they don't wear nondroko. They're gonna want to talk. Okay. Yeah, work example. But you get
This is why, Jay, I'm not sure whether Nindala. I can't even use the youth and dollar anymore.
oh no.
okay, but you get what I'm
Yeah,
trying
work
to say.
this out.
So you curate for your particular target market, and that's the
Mm,
importance of the information age. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
bombard yourself with all of this information to a point where you feel like you are stagnant, you are not moving. Yes, you are
Yeah.
not, because you are not taking that information and putting it in order of what your business needs, in order for you to
yeah,
scale, or in
yeah.
order for you to be better than competition. This warfare that Olandiga Opils talks
Yeah.
about.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. Guy.
Yeah. There is, I mean, there's definitely a fear around technology bills. There's people are
I'm a
very
technophobe,
fearful.
guys. I'm a
Yes.
technophobe.
So I think it is there is a psychological aspect into it.
Sure.
But I think that people need to work on overcoming that fear, because at the end of the day, you want to participate in the economy. If you have a business, like you want to participate, and so you have to empower
Yeah.
yourself. And I
Mm.
think I like when you talk about, like what are the skills that you need? Because I think what empowers us is when we gain skills, right? When we gain knowledge, Slyso, we say, let me read something that is relevant to my business,
Mm,
Yeah.
around the technology. And you start to feel empowered, and you start small, right? You don't have to know everything. I think also the fear is because people are just so they feel incompetent when it comes to technology.
yeah.
I don't know where
Mm.
to start, which AI am I supposed to use, what tools, and all of
Mm,
that. And I
mm,
think you just have to start somewhere, start small, and build up, and build your competencies. I'm
sure.
always about educate yourself. For me, education will never be
Yes.
out of fashion. Just educate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go read
Ma-
up on
ma-
something.
yeah.
And guys, you don't have to go and take up a 3-year course. No, no.
No, no.
Do your skills matrix. Say, okay, for instance, for my business, I need to know virtual reality, for example. You
Mm,
know,
Mm.
there's a
Mm.
4-week course somewhere, Coursera, Udemy. There are free courses online. You don't have to pay a cent from
Yes.
Harvard, from all these big institutions. You
Yes.
just need to do a skills matrix so that you don't do, because what's overwhelming, when I taught and I get it, right, is when
Mm.
you don't know where you are and
Yeah.
where you are going,
Yeah.
and you hear all these terms and you don't know how they're going to, you need to understand where you need to go in order for you to work backwards, right, and
mm.
get the
Yeah.
necessary skill for that. There's a lot of free courses, guys, lots of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah. I think people have a lot that they're picking up, let alone from keeping them updated as far as
yeah.
what's going on in the world, which we're going to end off with a tiny little bit. But in terms of like, I appreciate from where I'm sitting, because I walk away from this podcast as a person who is part of it. But every time I walk
Mm.
away from here, I'm like so empowered. There's something that I want to do, and it is because of
Yeah.
this incredible team of people. So go out there, share with other people, tell them about the Slyso TV podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving right along, just to end things off, right? Like two tiny little, we don't even have to go into it a lot,
Yeah.
because there's a lot that's happened. There's the dialogue that has been proposed by the president, and it's been topical from the moment it was announced to allegations of the amount of money that is going to be spent, to scholars sitting down and saying, look, we have people that we voted for, that we gave a mandate to and told them, we sifune South Africa ibe lolu hlobo. So why now are you bringing these people from these different corners of the world?
Mm.
What is their affiliation? You know, what is going to be done about that? If you're sitting and brainstorming, it doesn't mean that is going to be enacted, it's going to become a law, you know, after this dialogue. So there's a lot going on as far as that is concerned, in the world. I don't know why Tata got her eyes closed there. Is she praying? Or is it? But there's this one. There's this particular one. Bills.
Yeah.
Floyd Shivambu. Like, I don't know what. Toto just froze there. I don't know.
I think so, yeah. Listen, I'm one of those people that have a bit of apathy when it comes to politics, right?
Mm.
Uh, I nearly came up with a term sometime where people would ask me, who do you think? I'm like, I'm apolitical,
Oh yeah.
like,
Welcome to
like
my world.
I seriously, I don't know what Floyd will bring. I think he's a brilliant politician and everything, granted and all, but I don't see what he's going to bring that is not already out there when it comes
Mm.
to a new political party. Do we need a new political party? Yes, we do need a new political party. Do we need a fresh political party? Yes, we do need a fresh political party. We
Certainly.
don't need anything coming from the current cohort.
Mm. Mm.
It's regurgitating the same rhetoric, the same ideological framework. Honestly, this for me is just boring, and there's nothing fresh with this. It's nothing new. It's the same political whoring. Oh, sorry, excuse it's just
You know what? You couldn't have said it better when you said boring. In my mind, I was just like bored. I'm bored. I'm very
I'm
bored.
bored.
Yeah.
I'm like so bored, honestly. I'm so bored with this. And yes, we need a fresh political party with fresh ideas, fresh perspectives that are, relevant to 2025. Floyd, as young as he is, I don't think that is the case.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone coming off from this cohort, guys, will do us any better. So, no to a new political party by Floyd. Where he ends up, I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is it, and we don't even have to waste so much time on that. But something I really am excited about as we end off. is that flight tomorrow morning, off for a good cause. We know what has happened in. We didn't even have time to discuss it and go about it. And those are the floods that happened Eastern Cape, Mthatha specifically, and we've heard so many stories of what has happened to what people are being afforded and all of that. And a lot of people will know every year I do a what you call it, blanket drive, but this time around Zintle Mbusi, my colleague, also does one as well. So what we've decided is that we were planning one to do in Cape Town, and we're like, whoa, hold on, your hometown needs it. So we diverted that. That was going to be I think Matiba day next month, but we brought it forward, and we put in efforts to assist the Zintle Mbusi Foundation, along with a place called Nganda Lifestyle Mthatha, obviously in Slyso, and we've collected, I think we are sitting at just over 50 blankets. And to avoid any and everything that could happen, we are making sure that we are going to be there to hand them over. We have at least trusted people that are on the ground, that we are speaking to, that are actually collecting or talking to these families to make sure that on Wednesday, when we actually do this handover, umntu uzawahamba nengubo yakhe, and we've asked for toys as well, for little kids, because it is a very crazy time. So on Wednesday, that's what we are going to be doing, Mthatha, assisting this gym fanatic, this
Jim Barney.
this this village girl who loves development so much, which is part of the reason why I always say omami aban kulisa, like, so I always get attracted to those people and their causes. And
Yeah.
here we are saying that Mamea, we are here,
Bless you.
going to do that. So that's what I've been out and doing. And what I wanted to actually share to other people as well is that, I mean, with all the numbers of people that we have on social media platforms, but it's very kind of like heartbreaking when you, like, I know there are some people who could have made 100 blankets, but they couldn't, and I don't know why. But it's all good. The 50 will make a difference to over 50 will make a difference to the.
Can we still pledge? Can we still?
Yes, people can still do that, because obviously we're not just going to end here. We're gonna have the numbers of the people, and actually even look at their needs when we are there as well. So yeah, so that's definitely what we are looking at this point in time. Yeah, that is our story, and we are sticking to it. And I think the most interesting thing about it is that the Slyso TV podcast is a wide label. So we are experimenting, and we are actually going to be broadcasting this live on the podcast. So we will have a special broadcast on Wednesday where we will be talking victims. We will also be talking to. I'm trying to get the context for the gift of the givers. I worked with them like a while ago in Durban. It would be nice to reconnect again and actually bring people on the podcast and speak to them. And if we are able to get officials, hey, we'll be lucky. But yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Beautiful work. Beautiful work, Zintle. Beautiful work, Slicer, guys.
Yeah.
Look forward. We look forward to more pledges, guys. Can we make
Yeah.
it 50, like 5,000 blankets? Come on.
Look, we I don't want to take this one out of the bag yet. We have spoken to a broadcaster. Remember, we were supposed to do the one in July. in Cape
Yes.
Town, but there's a need as well around, I think, Komakarieja and all of those places in the Eastern Cape. We're still deciding which one we're going to do for July. And this broadcaster has promised that they are going to be with us on that one as well. So,
Okay.
so it is ongoing. It is ongoing. Next year.
Thank you. Thank you, anonymous broadcaster.
It will be revealed all in good time.
Please, man. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
guys, thank you so much. It's been lovely. Yeah.
It's been a
Just been
pleasure as
amazing, guys.
always.
In fact, Bailey, yeah, spoil yourself if I hadn't spent so much on this. I'll give you a voucher, my brother, because I understand what you're going through and the whole.
Oh,
But you're gonna be fine. One
I'll
thing
be
is
no,
for
good.
he's gonna be there. He's
I'll
gonna
be
be there.
good. I'll be
all right,
good.
family. Thank you so much, and you at
That's
home.
family.
Thank you very
Thank
much for
you.
joining us this evening.
See you on the
Cheers.
That's
next
us,
one.
guys. That is our story, and we honor